I'd like to invite Claire Sonsalot from the Hive to give you a talk, because you've heard from government, you've heard from NGOs. What we'd like to do now is hear from an individual. And Claire is quite an inspiring individual. She's been on this zero waste journey for a very long time. So we'd like to hear from her and find out why she went on that journey, what she's done, and any advice for anyone in the crowd who would like to start on that journey today.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you. So my name is Claire, and I moved to Malaysia in 2015. Before that, I lived in Hong Kong, and since 2010, my family of 3 kids, a husband and a dog, have been living zero waste. So don't be alarmed, we are not really zero waste, but we really generate a tiny bit of trash every week. Like kids coming back from birthday parties, all those kind of things are usually, those are the little bits of trashes we bring back. Now I started, the Hive. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's a plastic-free shop back in early 2016, and it's been doing terrific. And as Doreen said, people volunteer. We're opening our 3rd shop in SS2 on Tuesday. People want plastic-free solutions. I mean, we're not suicidal at the end of the day. We want to remain on this planet. But we need education, and we need to bring solutions, because it's easy to tell people no plastic bottle, but as you said, they don't have drinking water. So what is the solution here? We need to give them solution, and this is what the Hive tries to provide at our tiny, tiny scale. But I believe people, if we do give them a solution, like if you go to a supermarket, you have a plastic toothbrush and you have a bamboo 100% compostable toothbrush, at the same price, people will go for the 100% compostable toothbrush. But we need to be able, with government help, to provide those solutions to customers. And education is key. So my family has been living zero waste since 2010, and it's been an amazing journey. I really recommend everybody to do it. I love the Marie Kondo kind of thing. It was before Marie Kondo. So you start with your bathroom, you start with your kitchen. It's really, you take a really weird pleasure out of it, of like downsizing and donating and not buying anymore. So the best way to go zero waste is, to me, cut buying plastic products. It's very simple. You will have a little addiction period to go through, like don't buy paper towel, don't buy cling wrap, don't buy aluminum foil. You will see you don't need those products in your kitchen. You don't need, how many soap shampoos do you have in your bathroom? You know, now you go to a market anywhere in Malaysia, they have those solid soaps made locally with no chemicals, so just load up for the year. It's actually sort of easy to go zero waste once you put your head into it, and you take great pleasure out of it, and believe it or not, you save a lot of money, because you just don't buy as much as before. Because I have only 5 minutes, so I can't really, but I can talk for hours about the subject. So if you go to our page, the Hive Bulk Food, you will see plenty of tips on, even if you don't even care, on how to live zero waste and all those kind of things. For female, I highly recommend, mainly if you live in one of those islands, the menstrual cup. It's an amazing product. Or the washable sanitary pads, because those are like baby diapers. They remain in our water forever. It's made of plastic, and we use them every month. So and they're very economical. A menstrual cup is 80 ringgit, and it lasts for 10 years. So it's part of female emancipation in a way as well, but it's definitely part of the zero waste movement. So look those up. If you haven't looked into those before, they are amazing. And at the same time, yes, let's cut the single-use plastic out of our life. Here we are, poor David is like shrinking. Do we need water, to be honest? We're not going to, are we going to, oh my God, you're coughing. We don't, it's convenience. We don't even need water. We can survive without water for a couple of hours, right? And we are all here, we already have our own water bottle. Why do we have to have plastic? Poor David was saying they were just trying to give us the small plastic bottles. It's like we really have to cut the single-use plastic out of our lives. And to me, it's very simple. You leave your house, you take your phone. I think we all can say that. Then you leave your house, you take your water bottle, you take your food containers, a small spoon, and you're good to go. And if you love your tea and your bubble tea, the bubble tea now is, my God, it's a plague. It's a plague. It's really bad for your health. On top of it, I hope no one has a bubble tea business. It's really bad for your health, but it just comes in the plastic cup, in the plastic lid, with the plastic straws. And so we're banning the plastic straws, but how do people with bubble tea gonna drink it, right? So it just doesn't work. So we just have to cut the single-use plastic products out of our daily life. And if you can't live without your takeout food, which I do as well, Malaysian food is delicious, it's everywhere. I think it's a country where you have the most takeout food in the world. I've traveled a lot, I've never seen a country, and I lived in Hong Kong before. Malaysia has the most amount of places to eat in the world per inhabitant. I'm pretty sure of that statistic. I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty higher. So that it's the biggest problem as well for plastic garbage. It's all those food containers we could see on your pictures, the styrofoam food containers. So if we tell people, I think as soon as you put a plastic levy on anything, right away you have a massive drop. We've seen the statistics. Even in KL now, we have the plastic levy on a plastic bag in supermarkets. Right away, as soon as it's tiny. It's like 10 cents, I believe. Since I never use it, I don't know. But I think it's 20 cents. It's ridiculously low. But right away, massive drop. People don't use it. They complain, but they're still purchasing. So it doesn't affect the way they purchase. They still purchase as much. So even though shop owner might complain a little bit, people will change habits right away. So if you put a plastic levy on food containers, like just even 20 cents if you don't bring your own food container, first of all, you don't make money because this money goes to normally environmental research or those kind of things. But right away, you will see a massive drop and it will cut down on our garbage problem. A levy is always very, very efficient. I found out. Any countries will tell you that. I'll stop here.
Just a quick question,
Yeah.
Claire. So you've mentioned about the problem of plastic packaging when people go for takeaway food.
Yeah.
Are there any restaurants or any takeaway restaurants in KL that are sort of leading by example and not waiting for that plastic bag levy to come in or packaging levy?
Yes, you have few restaurants in the city that are now, it's paper bags, paper containers, and those and it works pretty well, but it's a bit more expensive for them to buy rather than plastic. So like if you get food from KGB, it will be in paper containers because my husband and I, we still want our Food Panda food, but how? So we only check at who has a paper packaging food and it can be composted. Another good thing we can do as well, and you mentioned your compost machine, I love it. I love composting. It's a key to most of our problems. We really need to start teaching people how to compost, and in Malaysia it's very easy to compost because we all have a little bit of a garden, and compost can be so useful in planting and growing our own food afterwards as a fertilizer. So we just need to teach people how, again, because we knew how to compost previous generation, we just forgot it. And we teach people how to compost. And it's part of the education as well. I have 3 young kids. For them, it's a fantastic lessons on chemistry. But it's mainly a great way to reconnect with nature.
Are there any events in KL that people can join or in other parts of Malaysia where they could learn more about these actions?
We just finished Sampah Menyampa big event last month, which happened at Jayawan. I don't know if you've been to Sampah Menyampa, it was amazing. And we have plenty of workshops. We're having another one, Zero Waste Malaysia is having another one, just double check on Zero Waste Malaysia Facebook page or Instagram. They're having another one in June. It's going to be amazing as well. For us, the company, The Hive, we do workshops on composting, on living zero waste, on how to make your own food with the local vegetables. Because another issue we have here in Malaysia is a lot of our food is not from Malaysia. So we need to start regrowing our own food. Maybe not for the islands where you still have a small farmers, but for people from KL. We need a local organic farm around the city, and those have disappeared along the way, and now we put other kind of crops. But we need to get those, land back and grow our own food again, and discover our own food. And our own food can be challenging. The best, because we do a farmer's basket every week at the Hive with a local farmer, a local organic farmer. The farm is called Homegrown Farm. It's an amazing farm in Semenya. It's mainly spinach, gourds, and it's really green leafy vegetables. Can be a bit challenging, but it's it's amazing to eat our local organic food. So we have to learn how to cook those vegetables.
Wonderful, thank you. Would any of the other panelists like to add to anything that Claire has said? So talk about anything that you've done as an individual, as a business or a government department to try and minimize your plastic production?
Yeah, the Ministry of Mide, who's in charge in environmental protection in Malaysia has declared sort of a campaign to reduce single-use plastic. So this has gained attractions among key stakeholders, players, and awareness has been raised to ensure that single-use plastic should be practiced across government agencies and ministries. I know of at that ministry, it's a tall order. They don't use single-use plastic anymore. Okay. So it has started. The movement has started within the government. Hopefully, I'm managing marine parks, so hopefully in the marine parks there are operators also who has been doing a lot of campaign, and some resort has taken up on board no use of single-use plastic. They don't use single-use plastic, and I do know a few resorts now has that policy. So it's a trend. It's because of the awareness, the demand of the customer. And 2 weeks ago, I had a talk with the resort operator who's based in Perhentian, Alunan Resort, saying that being green resort is good. And if you can Google his price, it's not, it's up there, And then it's full house because the customer appreciate what he do. And these are the things that if we operate resorts or businesses, it's good to go green. It pays, So we in the marine park management, we would love to see such a resort so that it minimize the waste, reduce the environmental problems, create a lot of awareness in-house, and everybody wins. So creating a winning situation, of course, goes a long way, more sustainable.
Thank you very much for that, Tuan. It's interesting to hear that Mestec have brought in that campaign. Out of curiosity, is that being driven across government, or is it in one ministry at the minute, and then the plan would be to roll it out to others?
When I was at the Ministry of Natural Resources, before the campaign, they already practiced that. We don't have, plastic bottles for our water. It's from a glass container or decanter, those sort of things. It's been practiced.
It's great to hear that journey has begun in the government. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about, Tuan, so it's been mentioned already about the costs. If the cost of being green is more expensive than business as usual, a lot of business owners are possibly going to choose to continue with the cheaper option. And I think sometimes we need to perhaps have that option taken away from us. And as the Director of Marine Parks Malaysia, I was wondering if there are any talks to perhaps take those options away from dive operators when they're within marine parks. So are there any discussions to ban single-use plastics in marine parks in Malaysia, or any other initiatives that might help?
Well, it's a bit tricky for government to put up rules and regulations to handle a situation that is at its infancy stage. We would love to embark on awareness, education, the buy-in by the resorts, rather than having, hard and fast rules. And it is a better option if NGOs can also chip in and play the role to raise awareness. We have been doing it for a very long time. Within the department, we have produced a booklet called a call for operators to be more responsible. I think you can Google it online. It's up there. Way back in 2007. We can foresee that without environmental care, then our environment can lose its value and attraction. So as such, being in a business like the operators on the island, being in the diving business or resort business, they don't want to have your resorts being spilled with, situated or located in a not so clean environment, because the customer wants to see cleanliness, and it has to be it has to begin from the operation side of things. So we have produced as a guide to call for resorts operators and dive operators to use it voluntarily. I think in the near future there might be, but it's early to say at the moment whether we want to have rules and regulations as such. The preference now is to go and raise awareness and have a local buy-in, and then change the practices. Yeah?
It's interesting to hear from the private sector and then from the government. I think two things. First of all, we have to be realistic about timescales. If you really want system change, you have to look over 5 and 10 year timescales. So for ourselves, we've actually made a target of no more beach cleanups in 10 years, because doing beach cleanups is a great thing, but we're not actually dealing with the real problem. So what we are doing ourselves is working with private sector, with government, with plastics manufacturers, with the waste industry, with the brands, and trying to say, well, how does plastic get from a factory bottled product onto a beach? What is the plastic chain there? Why is it happening, and how can we intervene? And working with brands like Coca-Cola and Nestle is an eye-opener, because they're actually doing a lot more than most people realize. Working with the government, with the waste management authorities, it's such a fragmented system in Malaysia, so that is difficult. Working at the household level, it's been law in Malaysia since 2016 in the 8 states that you're supposed to separate your recyclables. How many households actually do that? So it's overcoming all of those habits. It's do we really need a glass in front of us? Do we need a plastic bottle in front of us? Do we really need single-use plastics at government meetings? Do I really need to carry all of this plastic? Do I have to have my takeout food? Do I have to? It's about changing habits, and changing habits takes a long time. And if you plan to do something in 3 months, you will fail. You're planning to fail. But if you plan to do it over 10 years, and the government's Mestec's single-use plastic road plan goes through to 2030, so they're looking over a realistic timescale, then I think you can achieve something. But you have to be really, really, really patient. I'm not, but success requires patience, so maybe I'm not the right person to be doing it. But yeah, everybody needs to get involved over the long term.
It's actually some of the great work from Reef Check. We work with Project Aware, so we try to promote Project Aware and try to get our operators to take part in diving against debris, beach cleanups. Generally, it's just what's going on with Reef Check is a really good one. Green fins at the moment. I know that actually some of the work that you do, Dave, as well, has been getting with the schools, trying to educate the children. As Paddy, I've been doing some of the international schools in KL recently, going to the schools, doing a quick talk about nothing too in-depth, just trying to get to the younger generation, talking about the ugly journey of trash, is what we have coined the phrase with Project Aware. Julian was talking about how a plastic bottle comes out of a factory, how it goes through the journey, and how we can try to do what we can do to try and reduce that. The dive operators themselves, I think you, Dave, would be one of the best people to talk about that. You do great work, but around here we are trying to educate people, trying to motivate more of our operators to take a bigger step. We've been doing this, we have just made a pledge for Mission 2020 to try and in Paddy reduce our single-use plastics. When I go around the regions, I do my member forums, and I'm trying to promote my operators to make a pledge themselves to try and reduce their single-use plastics. Also with our Paddy, we've recently aligned ourselves with Reef World, who are aligned with green fins, and I'm trying to now get more of our operator Paddy dive centres to take a step and look to join with green fins also. It's really just trying to get them to, they do great work in picking up trash, most of them on the dives, but trying to now get them to record that also, to try and get the actual figures and data.
Okay, thank you, Neil. And just out of curiosity, what is your feeling on the dive industry as a whole? From your travels, do you think the dive industry is making a valid contribution towards tackling these issues, or is there still work to be done? One of the things I've found, we actually went around the expo this weekend, and we've been asking operators to make a pledge. And there were 3 pledges. They could pledge to phase out single-use plastics, to initiate regular cleanups or to do a program with a local school. And it's actually been very inspiring for me going and talking to operators to find out there's actually a lot of operators that are doing stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, but people just simply aren't aware of these things happening. And I think that's one of the challenges for us, is to make more people aware that this is a journey that a lot of people are on, and if they don't get involved now, that they're going to get left behind. So what are your thoughts on the dive industry? Because you see this on the ground. I mean, I've taken this just by having conversations. So do you see a lot of positive action taking place?
Yeah, well, I really do. A lot of the operators, they are doing good work. They are picking up trash. They are trying to reduce their single-use plastic. But I think, as you sort of alluded to, not all of them communicate that very well to what they're trying to do. I mean, we would like more of our operators to try and get more to the younger generation, to invite school children to do more eco talks. But yeah, most of the operators are doing very well. I think it's a bit of a corny phrase, but everybody was a scuba diver, the world would be a better place, because we are seeing people, we're the ones who see a lot of the change in the oceans that's happening to the marine life. So yeah, the more people who are, or the operators are trying to push more for the actual eco side of it. Yeah. But slowly, some of the more operators are starting to now see the value of trying to become more eco-friendly and use some of our courses, which are Project the Work courses, which are aimed at shark conservation, diving against debris, and actual tips for divers of how they can reduce their impact on the marine life. But yeah, at the moment, to be registered as a PADI 5-star resort or dive centre, they have to meet certain criteria within Project the Work courses or Project the Work events. So they have to complete diving against debris and certify at least 5 divers as a Project the Work diver. So with that, once they become a 5-star, we then give them extra discount on their materials and also the extra discount on their renewals. What we're actually looking at the moment, it's in PADI Worldwide, it's actually come from these sort of talks, where we are now looking at our PADI Retail and Resort standards and how we can now implement more eco standards or eco rules, whether our dive centers should have recycling baskets or whether they should have no single-use plastic at all. So actually the heads of PADI are now looking at to use ourselves as more of a force for good and actually try to get a little bit stricter with our operators. It's going to take a little bit of time, but that's what we're actually looking at to do at the moment.
Okay, exciting times. There's actually one sector that we don't have represented on the stage here today within the dive industry, and that would be the retail side of things. And for me, when I walk around the Dive Expo and I think of the waste that is being produced as a result of the expo, a lot of that is being produced by the retail industry. You know, you look at diving equipment and accessories, and they all come wrapped in plastic. A plastic item wrapped in plastic. And I spoke to one of the retail manufacturers yesterday, and I questioned why. And he said to me that basically if it doesn't come wrapped in plastic, how do you know it's new? And I really feel like we need to change that perception. And I guess, Claire, being from the retail environment, I think you would be a great person to comment.
You know, even our toothbrushes are package free. That sounds gross, right? Our toothbrushes are package free. Because we could have them in paper, but I'm like, why cutting a tree, putting all this toxic ink on it, using all this water, when we can have them package free as well? So we have the two options. So if you find us at Jaya, we will be in a paper packaging, but in our shop, it's package free, and in all our little push carts all over the malls, it's package free. That's how we sell them. And customers like it, yeah. So it's actually they're wrong when they assume people won't buy it because they don't think it's free.
Can I add to that? As a customer of her shop,
yeah.
My wife has caused us to change our shopping habits. So we go to a supermarket, we buy all the usual stuff with lots of plastic, but now increasingly we're going to places like this because you can buy your nuts. You bring your own packet to buy your nuts, and all of these separate products, which are in big jars instead of separately packaged, all it means is we have to go to the shop and bring our own little packet for it. But it's not something we buy every day. It's something we buy once a month. So with that tiny little change in habit, we now go to the supermarket weekly, but once a month we'll go to a place like this and buy those things that last a month, or that that we don't need every month.
Yeah.
But it's that little change in habit that we've had to make to bring the cut to go to a different place. Changing habits. That's what it is. If it's not wrapped in plastic, it's not new.
But how do we overcome that mindset how do we change that percentage? I mean, it's interesting to hear you mention a toothbrush. I would say that's probably one of the most difficult things that you could try to sell without a packet.
You go in these shops and you will see toothbrushes is standing up in a cardboard container. It's like, oh, I'll buy a toothbrush. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
It's just not an issue.
Yeah, but I think that people that are already going to these shops have already got that mindset. Yeah. So how do we, for people who maybe don't have that mindset, how do we overcome that?
We are hypnotizing you here. No, I have actually, you know what, I'm doing massive forcing. We are in the shopping center as well. So you find us at Pavilion, you find us at Starling, Publica, Sunway Pyramid starting on May 15. We will be in KLCC. That's actually a massive gamble. But I truly, truly believe if you are presenting solutions that are affordable, because we are really trying to be affordable, that are affordable, and we are in people's face. They see us every day. They're passing by to get to the food court, to the shopping center, where it is, whatever. Ultimately, I mean, our point of sales, we're not suicidal either. We're a for-profit business. We are selling. It takes a while. It takes a few months of like, yes, we're not selling anything, but after that, from experience, people are like, oh, what is it? Let me try this. Oh, is that solid soap made in Kuala Lumpur with no chemicals and it lasts as long as a bottle of shampoo and it's the same price? Yes. Then they are going for that option. So it's a bit of education, but after that, people are hooked. It makes sense. It's common sense. And it's healthier for them because our products are obviously chemical-free. I mean, nasty chemicals. Everything has chemicals, but nasty free, and obviously package free. So,
and to bring it back to then very diving focused, how do we influence then the shops and the retailers to try and get rid of all of this plastic packaging?
To be honest, I'm hoping the Hive will not exist for the food section anymore in 10 years because it will be all over supermarkets and they will have bulk. It's happening in Europe already. So if you go to any big supermarket like the Tesco's in Europe, I don't know for Tesco's, but for French market and continental Europe, it's happening. I'm not sure about the UK market, but like the big supermarkets have noticed customer wanted package free, so now they have the two section. You have a big massive bulk section and the more what we have nowadays, packaged food section. And now as well for the fruits and vegetables, they are less and less packaged because customers are really getting pissed off with that. So sadly here we still see bananas wrapped in plastic, which makes no sense whatsoever. But there is, so I'm guessing it's going to come as well to this market, this trend, but it's going to take longer, and to be honest, we don't have the time. So we need to change now. We should have changed yesterday, but we really need to change today. And so this is why we need as well government regulation, that I'm looking at you, I'm sorry, because we have no time. It has to change today. I'm talking about climate change, not only single-use plastic, but just, methane emission and all this kind of things. So, we need implementations now. But I'm hoping, yes, the supermarket will have, the Hive will be out of business, but the supermarket will have the big bulk section in a few years.
Yeah. So this is the second year that we've had the forum focused on plastic pollution, and we talked about the fact that there was a lot of plastic being produced in the retail, in diving, and I haven't personally felt that I've seen a change this year. Is there anybody on the panel that would have some suggestions on how we can sort of drive that forward? Any recommendations perhaps for people in the audience that they could do today to help make a difference?
It's very difficult with the manufacturers. I can see once it's really changing the concept. If they start not putting their fins in plastic bags over a few years, then yeah. I mean, as consumers of you in the crowd, I'd only suggest you to ask to not have your product put in a plastic bag. It's one step at a time. It's very good. It takes a little bit of change. It's a concept now we have with plastic straws. Everybody asks for a plastic straw. That's 1 billion straws per day. If you're buying your equipment, please try to ask for it to be not in a piece of plastic.
Yeah. We actually... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Julia.
Consumers need to go to the supplier and say, I don't want the plastic bag, and leave it with them. And you then put the responsibility back onto the supplier to say, oh, well, either I have to take all of that plastic back or I just stop selling them in plastic bags. So that's how the consumer can influence. And it's in diving, it's in supermarket shopping, it's in all shopping. Just don't take the plastic. And that's where maybe regulation can come in and help. The government can introduce regulations to say you're not allowed to sell a pair of fins. You know, it's not a perishable item. There's no food. There's no food safety involved here. Can't sell fins in a plastic bag. That's something the industry can push back over to the supplier.
Good point, actually, Dave. Here at Paddy, we are now actually focusing Fourth Element on our website and helping to promote their gear. As you said, our Mission 2020 pledge was to reduce all single-use plastic or all plastic out of their products by World Ocean Day on 2020. So now on our website we have a Paddy Loves, and we're now focusing on eco-friendly dive equipment. We at the moment is wetsuits and board shorts and bikinis. That we're trying to help the retailers who are trying to make the effort, to try and help them with their sales.
I want to add one more thing. Thank you. I want to say we are all inspiring others. So on your daily actions, just use your water bottle, just use your coffee cups, you know, your reusable coffee cup, refuse. Every time you refuse, because it really starts with refuse single-use plastic, everybody behind in the queue sees you refusing, so you are inspiring others as well. It's very, very important to be vocal and not to be shy about our daily actions here. So we'll really start with the refuse single-use plastic, and just when you leave your house, always use, if you want something, you know, bring your own containers and bring your whatever bottles and stuff. But it has to be with your phone, it has to be a habit, and if you forgot it, too bad. You're not going to die if you don't have your Starbucks coffee. You'll survive. It's just conveniency. It's what's polluting this planet. So just get into this habit, talk constantly to your friends, your family about it, and inspire others.
We have been dealing with it for quite some time. We have done studies to see different islands, what are the carrying capacity in terms of allowable infrastructure that could be built on the island. As such, we can control at the planning stage the number of visitors to the island. And from the studies, it has been used by approval authorities like the state government, local council, as a guide to control the number of facilities or resorts on the island. But we have seen there has been an increase in the number of visitors to the islands, but it is still within the middle or median capacity or based on those studies. I think in the near future we will have to look into the aspect of carrying capacity in a more stringent manner, in such a way that it has to be a balance between development and we don't want to have an influx of visitors to the island, and the resources might be affected. At the moment, we have regular, yearly, annual reef surveys. Since 2007, Reef Check has helped us. It's their program. Partially, of late, we are in partners. It shows the coral cover is still hovering, not very much difference. There's no this significant decrease in the percentage of coral cover, except for years where we experience El Nino or global warming. The 2 years from that spams that Reef Check has produced a report for us, and we can see that even though the number has increased, the resources still more or less maintain in fact increased to a better stage. You know, in some islands it has increased from a fair positions to good, beyond 50%, 53% to some, and at locality, these are average. At some localities, it can reach up to 78%. An example of Remis Island at Pulau Tioman. 2 years ago, there was a report saying, you know, so as a management authority, we have to strike a balance between the industry, you know, and the number of people who wants to visit the island. So we have to put forward the information about impacts of the environment to the management authority, not just us. We are just a managing authority, but when it comes to tourism, there's another industry. They have their own agenda they want to promote. In fact, next year we are looking at Visit Malaysia Year. So probably there will be, more campaign, more people visiting the island. But I can tell you, within the waters, the sea, the resources is holding up. On the terrestrial area, I mean the land, these are problematic areas which is not within our purview. Even that, having said that, we have proactively been playing the positive role in raising awareness among local council to have a better management facilities, structures and manpowers and funding to ensure all those potential issues will be addressed. And there are a lot of government agencies, even at economic planning unit, is looking on the island to provide facilities to overcome sewage problem, garbage problems, And I was at Pulau Tioman 2 weeks ago. Alam Flora has just moved into Pulau Tioman. And it's just a wonderful sight to see. Even when we cross to Juara, you can find garbage. You can see 40 workers working, all over the place, looking after the environment. And of course, the people on the island, through associations and demand by association with NGOs who has been raising awareness, and through demand by customers, they have changed. They have changed how they look after their immediate operation. Of course, there are some operators that has not changed their attitude, but they are losing. I mean, the numbers is smaller, getting smaller. So, at the government level, we have been playing the role of bringing other government agencies who has jurisdictions on, say, rivers, streams, environment, to ensure that every government agency has their own rules and functions to play to make sure the environment is sustained.
Your dollar vote, as you mentioned before, so you try to only go to resorts or diving centers that are eco-friendly. And if they don't, just let them know bluntly, listen, I don't agree with all the single-use plastic you have in your place, and because actually here the market will dictate the way the movement will grow. So if you go to a hotel, if you're staying in a hotel in a beautiful diving spot, and you go to the diving center and everything is single-use plastic, you're sort of like continuing the process. So it's up to us to go to those really amazing, because we have those solutions as well, eco-friendly solution, eco-friendly resorts, where they compost, they have their own little organic garden as well, where the local community, grows the food and all those kind of things. So it's up to us again as consumers, and with government regulations. It's a combo of both. Our dollar votes and government regulations behind, this is what will push the market, to me.
Yeah, I'll reflect what Claire's just said. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's up to us individually. There's only so much government can do. People say, well, they should sort this problem out. It's their responsibility. Well, who is they? Who is there? At the end of the day, a lot of it is down to us creating that change or driving that change by looking for innovation, looking for different ways of doing things, making your voice heard with your dollar, talking to the government agencies involved, and slowly making those changes. I said earlier on, it takes a long time to do these things, but a large part of the argument, a large part of the problem is us, and it's us that has to change that.
And I guess for anybody starting out on that journey, it can seem quite terrifying, but there are organizations out there that can help everyone. As an individual, you can reach out to Zero Waste Malaysia. As a dive operator, you can reach out to Greenfins. So there are people who can help you along on that journey. So that being said, I'd like to thank our panelists very, very, very much for taking time out of their busy schedules to come and share those words of wisdom with us today. I'd like to thank Mide for giving us the opportunity to have this forum again. Please do come along and join us next year where we will be having the forum once again. And on behalf of myself and the forum, thank you very much to you guys for coming and joining us today. Thank you.